I am very much so. I actually rom-coms and romantic movies are like one of my favorite things to watch. So, I was born. I wasn't very old, but I was born when the original came out.
Welcome to WatchMojo's Poppin' the Culture, your weekly entertainment touchpoint. And me, well, I'm your host with the most, Mojo, of course. That's right, it's me, Mr. Hollywood, Matt Demers. Today is all about the best. That's right, the best celebrity interviews that we've had on the show. And looking back, there's been quite a few. Everyone from Zack Snyder to Andrew Garfield. That's right. But we're kicking things off with our very first guest, the Todd Father, Mr. TODD MCFARLANE. We had so much fun talking with him. Here's me asking about that upcoming Spawn movie. Take a look. You mentioned the movie. We'll quickly get to it. Blumhouse, is this still in production? I know we had Jamie Foxx and Jeremy Renner were tentatively attached. Are they still good?
Yeah, everybody. And then we've actually added some people, some talent that we haven't announced during the pandemic. Yeah, so big talent.
Wow.
But again, everybody just sort of feels like, we've been talking about it for so long, instead of keep putting out teasers and, all this, let's just do our jobs. Let's keep it moving. Let's get it going. I mean, I talked to some of the key people here and we're supposed to have sort of the next big movement of it, fingers crossed, by the end of July. And then in quick order, if that's all true and we can get to where we're at, we should be going into the studios here before the end of the year. So, it's time, right? I mean, there's momentum with the character. There's momentum, with the streamers wanting to do sort of serious.
And this will be like a R-rated 18 plus. Okay. Yeah. Cause that's a big, I mean, hey, look at your Joker or any number of movies that have that feel.
Yeah. No. I remember being at New York Comic Con the weekend that Joker came out. And I was up on stage going, hey, everybody, please go. Because if that movie does even a little bit of business, it will solidify that you can do serious R-rated movies in the superhero vein. And it didn't do a little bit of business. I mean, I was going, man, if this thing makes 135 million, woo, they're going to make R-rated movies. And it goes and makes $1 billion, right?
Yeah, they got Oscar, they got nominations and Oscars. So there you go.
Right. So they completely legitimize the R rating for superheroes, right? If you want to sell a bunch of toys and t-shirts and hats, maybe you look at PG-13 because you're going to get more kids. But if you're just looking to entertain people for 2 hours in a dark room called the theater, you can go R and it'll work. So,
because the first Spawn movie, what was it, 1997, which I had actually rewatched, and I still like it. There's still something about that movie that's fun. I mean, the business has changed, the movie business, and obviously everything else has changed. But at the time, I quite enjoyed that. Have you seen that recently? The Michael J. White?
No, not recently, but I do know that we were under pressure at the end of it. Our deadline got squeezed. There were some scenes we put in there in which we didn't finish the CG, especially like that hell scene at the end. You go, what? Like, if it doesn't look good, then just do it as a voiceover, right? But so there were some things that we did in there that if I could re-edit it, I'd do it. But there are other things on there that I thought hit and still stand up today, right? And again, remember that was long before sort of the Marvel Universe was coming. So, superhero movies, oh, by the way, a minority character, superhero, it was still way ahead of the curve. And maybe, with a little more polish and waiting 10 years, we might've been right in the sweet spot. So
John Leguizamo.
Now we have that movie. We have things like R-rated being viable now. And we have, the audience is now 20 years older. So anybody that was even born the day Spawn movie came out is now capable of being in an R-rated theater because you're over 18. It's been longer than 18 years. So you can get into it. So I don't think we have to hold back. The audience from that time is for sure over 18. And then anybody that was born, from that day, even 3-4 years later, are all capable of going to an R-rated movie. I don't think we have to be afraid as long as we don't spend 200 million on a budget.
Yeah, and Spawn screams R-rated. I mean, just play
Oh,
the Mortal Kombat game, and you'll see why.
yeah.
But I was going to say,
we did at the time the movie came out. At the same time, was the first season of the HBO animated,
yes,
and that was all R with all the warnings.
Yeah.
You know, like drug, sex, rock and roll. I mean, everything was on there. I think we were the only show at that time, for sure the first one, that had all the possible ratings and warnings on it, which I was very proud of.
Yeah,
And
Emmy-winning show.
It wasn't because I wanted to be explicit with it. It was just to say that this is a harsh world, and at times we have to go into those corners. So get ready. We may have to go into some dark corners.
I can listen to Todd McFarlane talk for hours. All right, on to our next interview. It was with Jamie Kennedy. You know him, the actor from everything from Scream to Son of the Mask. Speaking of the latter, well, he had a lot to say about that particular movie. Check this out. One of your videos on YouTube that I've watched, you broke it down into a couple of parts. And I don't want you to give us the whole story, because again, that would be a 2-hour deal. But it was about the Son of the Mask. And here at WatchMojo, we do lots of top 10 lists, as you probably know. The Son of the Mask ends up in a lot of them, but not for the right reasons, because it's always like, sequels that didn't need to happen or things of that nature. Man, that movie is so polarizing. I remember working at a movie theater when that came out, and kids loved it. Like, honestly, when it played during matinees, the little kids would come out and watch it. But then if I worked the night shift, the adults
hated it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So what's your take? I mean, because, like I said, that's such a movie that we're still talking about it all these years later. It was you. Who else was it? Alan Cumming? Was that who it was? Who played Loki?
Trailer Howard, Ben Stein.
Yeah, Stein came back.
Hoskins.
Wow.
Legends. Yeah, legends. Look, I can sit there and tell you that, like, I'm kind of lucky in the sense that, like, when my hits hit, they make an impact, and when my misses miss, they make an impact. You know what I mean? Like, you're still talking about this movie, 16 years later, and I think the biggest issues are a few things. It's number one is expectations. The source material of The Mask was horror.
Yeah, it was a comic. It was a very dark.
Yeah. And that's very cool. And then The Mask, which I thought had some dark undertones, but it had the whirlwind genius of Jim Carrey, and it became like a bigger than life, you could almost say superhero. You know what I mean? But it was just something we'd never seen before, and with everything melding with his performance, his energy, and CGI, and it was incredible, So I think that was already built in with a lot of expectations. So then when we had the Son of the Mask, and I was known for doing my characters and different things on my show, The Experiment, that's really what the movie was gonna be. It was gonna be me doing Jamie Kennedy type scenarios like I did on my show, and each scenario is a different character, and I become that character as this mask to help. That just got lost in translation, and the baby became a bigger story, and the dog became a bigger story, and there was a lot of chefs in the kitchen, and the movie was not what we set out to make, and then so they were like, all right, let's pivot, let's make it a kids movie, which wasn't a bad pivot. But if you look at it, the director is really cinematic. Like Larry could easily direct. I don't want to say easily. I don't mean to say this, but he's competent, more than enough talent and competence to take a Marvel product, I believe, property, and direct one. Look at the opening shots of Son of the Mask. I mean, and if you don't believe me, James Gunn used to live in my back house, so you can look that up. So I mean, I know Marvel directors. Okay, I know a few of them. So Larry Guterman has this ability to make something very cinematic, And it, it just didn't happen. It's not his fault. There was a lot of chefs in the kitchen. It's very hard. So then, we're not in charge. They wanted to make it more of a kids movie, the studio, and then it kind of got chopped. But then the kids kind of liked it, and then Japan and overseas liked it, but it just didn't hit it, and it became a mishmash. And then the issue, and all of that is true, and everybody's feeling is, and there's a lot of behind the scenes, but the thing I have is with adults, like these grown baby men who are 35 years old going, I hate that. You're 35, dude. You're 35. Like, let that sink in. People are making podcasts about this movie in their 40s about how they hate it. You're 40. Like, you gotta let that sink in.
People have very strong feelings about that movie, and
I know, but they're 40. Don't you think that's hilarious?
It is pretty hilarious, yes. I mean, people. Hey, listen, fandoms go. You know this. You go to conventions. People get dressed up, and people get pretty.
But I have to say this. I have to take those hits, and you know what? If I want the praises, which I love, I will have to take the bow and arrows, and that's only fair. So I understand.
We have to have Jamie Kennedy back on the show. All right, now to check out an interview with Addison Rae and Tanner Buchanan. They were chatting all about that reboot/sequel to She's All That. It was called He's All That. All right, He's All That. Guys, I got to tell you, I loved it. It's a movie that knows exactly what it is. And I had a lot of fun. Speaking of fun, listen, the cast is so much great. It looked like everyone was having a great time here. Tanner, did you have fun doing it?
Yeah, I had an incredible time doing it. I mean, everyone got along so well, and we all kind of just bonded, and we talked about, kind of like shooting in a pandemic. Everything had to be way more intimate. So everybody knew everything that was going on with each other, and we really connected through all of that, and got to know each other very, very closely.
It showed. No, it was great chemistry, lots of fun. Addison, listen, you're no stranger to screens. We see you on our phones, our computers, our TVs. This is your first foray in feature film. How was that experience? Is this something you want to do again?
Oh, of course. I mean, I think this is just the beginning. And, I definitely, want to be a part of this forever. And since I was a little girl, this has been a dream come true, just to even, get to do something that I've loved and enjoyed my entire life. And also being able to work with so many people that I've seen on the screens before. And I know, and having Matthew and Rachel a part of this as they were in the original, it's really incredible. Just being able to really see how much my life has changed, and just I've been very, very lucky and very blessed.
Speaking of the original, 1999. Listen, I'll age myself. I was in high school. I love this movie. I was prom king that year. People said I looked a little like Freddie Prinze Jr. I don't know. I don't even know if you guys were born. Did you see the movie before getting the gig? Addison, start with you.
Yeah, I had seen the movie. My mom was a huge fan. I was not born until 2000, so a little bit after, but my mom was a huge fan. She was always very into getting me to watch movies that she loved growing up. So that was one of them. I'd seen it lots of time before, and then also seen it lots of times before we started filming, just to kind of get into that perspective and get the essence of the original and be able to do the best I could to kind of imitate that in my role.
Tanner, you seem like a teen rom-com kind of guy.
How'd you know?
I am very much so. I actually, rom-coms and romantic movies are one of my favorite things to watch. So I was born. I wasn't very old, but I was born when the original came out. And, I had watched the original multiple times growing up, and then obviously watched it actually multiple times before I started, because I wanted to make sure that I was going to do the character justice and make sure that both people are the fans of the original and, kind of the new age coming in to see this for the first time, were both going to enjoy it.
One of the more popular shows on Netflix is something called Locke and Key. That's right, and it recently returned for its second season, and to talk to me all about it, I got Griffin, Gluck, and Hallea Jones. It was fun. Take a look. Season 2 is upon us. Lock and Key is on Netflix, and boy, I'm ready to dig right in and unlock the secrets of Season 2.
Nice.
I got Griffin, I got Hallea. How are you guys doing?
Very well.
Yeah, pretty good right now. I'm on summer break right now because we filmed throughout the summer, so I'm taking my time off now.
Hey, enjoy it. Enjoy your break. But let's set the stage. Griffin, I'm going to start with you. Talk to me about your character. What you can tell us about him for those that might not be familiar. Kind of set the stage of who you're playing here in the show.
Oh, well, if people aren't familiar with Gabe going into Season 2, that's troublesome right there, because Gabe is a very different person Season 2 than he is Season 1, which is a big spoiler. But I'm going to talk to the audience, talk to you, as if everyone has seen Season 1. Gabe is up to a bunch of no good shenanigans this season. He's still keeping up that good boy act, but behind closed doors, which the audience gets to see a lot of this season, he is a terrible person. He is really mean. He is really nefarious. He's got a lot of schemes going on, and they're all fun. A lot of them are really
big
scary
meanie.
too.
Now, Griffin, you don't seem like a mean guy in real life, right? But
I hope not. I don't know. You know, I try to be nice.
But it must be fun playing the villain, right? That seems like a fun role to play. Yeah.
It's my first time ever playing not the good kind of character, like where, you know, you're nice and you're fun. And this is my first time digging into something a little more, you know, not more serious, but just in the realm of scary or dark, which was really fun because I kind of got to figure it out along the shoot. It was a huge learning experience for me how to be menacing. I'm 5'7", I weigh like nothing, and I've never been a big energy or, you know, scary or threatening in any way. So learning how to do that in other ways was a lot of fun.
Definitely brings it.
And Hallea, I mean, you're not so nice either. I mean, the first episode of the second season, you do something pretty terrible to a popcorn vendor. And I used to work at a movie theater, and I was like, oh no, that's like my nightmare.
Yeah.
Did you embrace that kind of naughtiness again? Because you weren't so nice Season 1 either.
Yeah, I think I really just felt like leaning into it more, and the writing was just so clear of where it needed to go. And working with Griffin was so much fun because we played against each other. And he was just so mean as Gabe, and Eden's also like, well, I'm going to one-up you, but you can kill me. So she's feisty. She's underestimated. She's definitely like, just loves chaos and all of the conniving things that she can do. And snacks, whether it be Cheetos, or can we say a generic junk food brand, or the popcorn guy, or, you know, a few people in Matthias who the authorities are going to start wondering where everyone's going. And it's in my belly.
Well, let me tell you what, you both bring it, and it's so much fun to watch. I'm gonna finish the interview with the last question, and I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, so I expect a good answer. If you were to take one of those keys from the show and use it in real life, I mean, which one would you use? Hallea, I'll start with you.
I'm stuck between the anywhere key and the head key. I actually have a head key tattoo because I love the idea of it. Yeah. Cool. But the anywhere key is also, I'm like, I want to go to Italy. I want to go to Greece. I want to go somewhere. I just want to go, whoop, bye.
Griffin, what's your key of choice?
Ooh, see, I could take an easy cop out for this question and say a key that you guys haven't seen yet because it's in Season 2. But I won't do that. I would say probably the anywhere key.
Amazing. Well, we can't wait to uncover all the keys of Season 2 and all the fun you guys have mixing it up. It's out there on Netflix. All right, sticking with Netflix, they had a huge movie come out, and one of the people involved, well, maybe you've heard of him, Zack Snyder. That's right, a heavyweight in the cinematic world. Well, I got to chat with him along with the director and star Matthias. It was Army of Thieves. Take a look at this. If you are a fan of Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, then good news! A prequel is upon us. That's right. Army of Thieves is coming to Netflix, and I'm so excited. I got Zack, I got Matthias to tell me all about it. Let's have some fun here. Zack, I'm going to start with you. I read that you described this as genre busting. Explain the genres we're busting in this movie.
I mean, we made a little movie called Army of the Dead that was on Netflix. You know, a couple of people saw it. I guess whatever, 85 million, whatever it is, and it's fine. But so in that movie, we were just sort of saying, you know, I really wanted to just take the zombie genre and take it apart, and you know, the ticking clock and the heist, and just go for the tropes as deep as we could. And so then we started to talk, Matthias and I were talking about like doing this Dita prequel and maybe doing a romance and a heist and like the Italian Job and like all those European heist movies. And then also, you know, like, you know, in addition, the romance part of it, how could we use all those same tropes and bust all of those tropes in the same way we did? And that's kind of was the origin and sort of the why of this, and why it's almost an entirely different genre to Army, but does the same sort of self-reflexive job on the genre.
Yeah, no, it really does. You guys do a great job of it. And a lot of that rests obviously on the director. Matthias, that would be you. Now, here's the thing. You're not only the director, you're also the star. And we're not talking like a little bit part here. You're the main guy. Now, I've read and heard directors say, no, you shouldn't act in your own movie. And then I've heard others say they enjoyed the experience. What was your experience on here? Because the end product was really fun.
Yeah, the experience, I have to say, because the experience, and Dave Bautista said it in an interview when we did what we did on Army of the Dead, because Zack was the DP of Army of the Dead, and that changed the perspective because Zack was always with us. You know, he was always in the scene, he was always around us, in between us, and filming. So, and it was the same with me in Army of Thieves, because for the other actors, it was cool because they never saw a director. They just had the director in between them. So it was great to guide them through a scene while maybe changing or do some improv on stuff, just to guide them into the direction I wanted to, you know? So that was cool.
It was cool. Yeah. Before we go, last question. We here on WatchMojo celebrate all things popular culture. And obviously a big part of that is the heist genre where this movie falls into. And I'm wondering if there's one particular movie that you could recommend or you suggest, or maybe one that you saw in that heist genre that stayed with you. Zack, is there one that comes to mind?
Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Do you know that movie?
I have.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good one. I like it.
Clint Eastwood movie.
Yeah, it's so great. Can't beat it. Well, maybe Matthias will. What's your heist pick?
We just, I think we will go for the original Italian Job.
Yeah, classic. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm sure your movie will fall in a lot of people's lists after they see it, and we encourage everyone to do just that. Thanks so much, gentlemen. Have a great rest of your day. I'm such a big fan of adult animated series. So when I found out that there was a new one called Inside Job, I was all over it and had to talk to some of the stars. Well, it was Christian Slater, Clark Duke, and by the way, you'll never guess what conspiracy theory Christian Slater hopes is real. Watch this. It's a new adult animated comedy coming to Netflix. I got Christian Slater, I got Clark Duke to tell me all about it. Listen, I got a sneak peek here. It's a lot of fun. Clark, I'll start with you. Set the stage. What can people expect out of this? Because we're tackling a bit of a buzzworthy subject right now.
Yeah, the show is, it's basically an office comedy, but the workplace is, set in the secret deep state Illuminati cabal that runs the world. But it's really about, the relationships and the office politics and that kind of thing. And I don't think any of us could have guessed that the conspiracy theory stuff would have been so pertinent when we started the show.
Really? That's amazing. Yeah, no, it really is out there. You can find a conspiracy for just about everything. Christian, let's switch to you for a second. What's been your relationship with conspiracy theories? You know, if I look at your filmography, you're also in Mr. Robot, which was conspiracy laden. But have you found yourself in any kind of conspiracy rabbit holes, or what's your relationship been?
Oh, wow. I tend not to buy into conspiracies too much, other than, there's ones that I hope are real. Like, I hope that Elvis is alive.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's probably getting past the point where that one could even be true.
Yeah.
Had he lived, I mean, he's probably be about 98 by now. But I mean, that's a guy that I would have loved to have met at a particular point in my life, and had hoped that he would have lived and been on some ranch somewhere that I could have had an iced tea with him at some point.
Amazing. I mentioned at the top that this is adult animation comedy. I use the term, laugh a minute, but in here it's almost like laugh a second. There's so much stuff, gags in the background. You got to read this, you got to see this. It's really great stuff. Let's talk about being an actor in that animated world. Christian, I'll start with you here because some of our viewers probably recognize you as the voice of things like Deadpool in the DC movies.
Oh,
yeah, you popped up in things like Archer. But how is it being in this kind of adult animated world? Because you get to go crazy here.
Yes, no, I really, really do. To a certain degree, when you get an opportunity to play a character like this, it makes your home life that much easier because, you get a therapeutic opportunity to really let yourself go crazy. And Rand is completely out of his mind, completely outrageous. And, has got, all these conspiracy theories. The only interesting thing about it with this particular show is that, for him, they're not conspiracy theories. He's the smartest guy in the room, and he knows all this stuff is true. So that also makes him a very fun character. And at the same time, he's got a great relationship with a disturbed relationship with his daughter. But there is a lot of love, I think, between the two of them. It's just they have a hard time connecting.
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting dynamic. Clark, I'll end things with you. Your character is a little interesting. You're playing this kind of yes man. I don't want to say he's like a frat boy, but he's very popular. He's very cool. What's that experience been like playing that type of character in this animated world?
He's very much a frat guy, like an Ivy League frat guy. It's been fun because animation lets you play like a lot of different types that you wouldn't normally get to, but the biggest thing is, he's deeply insecure, and that's a pretty universal, relatable thing, no matter like what his background or what he looks like. So, I mean, that's where like the comedy comes from, and that's where the kind of like heartbreaking stuff comes from.
Yeah, no, and it really is fun to watch. Like I said, if you want to see aliens and robot presidents and everything else, Inside Job is the show for you. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. And make sure you guys check it out. It's all there on Netflix. Okay, I too want to have iced tea with Elvis on a ranch. Thanks, Christian Slater. Okay, I had a chance to talk to someone called Alex Wolff. You might recognize him from everything from Hereditary. He was in a movie called Old and so much more. One of my favorite movies of the year was called Pig. It was him and Nicolas Cage. So what was it like working with Nick Cage? Watch this to find out. The movie is titled Pig. It's about a truffle hunter out seeking revenge for a pig that was stolen. And trust me, there's a lot more to it. And no word of a lie, it is one of my favorite movies of the year. And I'm so excited for that reason to be joined by one of the stars. It's Alex Wolff. Alex, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And I'm not kidding around here. I am a film critic. And I went into this movie thinking, wait a minute, is this going to be like John Wick with a pig with Nicolas Cage? And no, it was so much more into it. What drew you to that particular script? Because it's something interesting, something different.
Yeah, I mean, John Wick seemed like a very off base, weird comparison that seemed to happen early on from the trailer, I think, because maybe there's some with an animal and revenge but this movie, that never really occurred to either of us. When I first read the script, it just felt like this kind of beautiful tone poem that it really at its core was a story about friendship and grief, and how this pig was really a catalyst for getting this man to come out of his tight little cave of depression and loneliness, and then getting this boisterous, obnoxious, showboaty guy to get himself to look inward, and that he was feeling some of the same pain this other guy was. And it was just a great, unlikely duo story that I've really never seen done like this. And I was really moved to be part of it and thought of it. And I feel unbelievably lucky. I really do.
You touched on something, your relationship with that character played by Nicolas Cage, and the two of you seem to have great chemistry. Now, someone like myself that watches so many movies on the outside looking in, Nicolas Cage is a bit of an enigma. I never really know what I'm going to get from him on screen. I love watching it. I can't take my eyes off of him. What was it like working with him? Because I know people want to know what's Nicolas Cage like on set. Is he method? Is he as intense as we think he's going to be, or what was that experience?
I mean, I think anybody who's trying to, get some kind of Nicolas Cage experience or something is going to be disappointed in that. He's just an unbelievably honest, unbelievably kind, and unbelievably devoted artist. And I think that people mistake his sort of rock star mystique as something, cartoonish or something. And I think that is actually can be a pressure on somebody to be something that they're not. And I think that Nick, what he is more than anything, is vulnerable and hilarious and loud and brave. And I think he's just been a huge inspiration at the end of the day as an actor to all of us actors. And I think it's important to always remember that maybe there's some movie star mystique and that he does these sort of larger than life odd things, but what he really is a serious movie loving genius. That's what he is at his core. And so I got the dream version of him.
And very versatile. You see him in all kinds of different movies.
Yeah.
And Alex, I want to say that about you too, because listen, we here on WatchMojo, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that you were in one of our beloved movies, which is Hereditary. We love our horror on the show. Now, you've done lots of horror. I mean, this year you're also in Old, and then you're doing this this film, which is very different. Do you have a genre that you like doing best, or is there one that you haven't done that you want to do?
Well, I would say I don't have one that I love best. I think I kind of go project from, I mean, if you see Old couldn't be more different from Hereditary. You'll be disappointed if you go in branding as a horror movie. You got to brand it as a weird, I said it was as if it's like a Swedish late 50s experiment movie. That's what it is. It's so weird and so experimental and so fun and deep. And I love Old because it's just, you cannot put it into a category. Knight calls it a Bergman blockbuster, and that's kind of what it is. It's just odd and weird, and you just got to go with it. Like, some people don't get it and I get it, or some people don't like it and I understand, but it's really fun if you let it wash over you. So in terms of Old, it's like no genre I've ever seen ever. But I don't have a genre I like the best. I think there's a lot of genres I'd love to work in. I just think the genres are something like, I like almost think about it as like at the end of the day when like clothes are made or food is made, it's like the stamp that's put on them before they're shipped out. But I don't really think in terms of that at all, because there's just no labeling on it when you read a script or when you're thinking about it. You never really know what something is until I find out from WatchMojo. I literally find out what kind of movies I'm in from WatchMojo, and then you guys let me know.
We'll have a top 10 for you. And no matter what you do next, I know I'll be watching because I'm a big fan of your work. And Alex, I can't thank you enough for chatting with me today. And I 100% want to recommend the movie Pig. Go out and watch it, guys. It's really fun. Thanks again, Alex.
Man, thank you so much.
But of course, Alex is a fan of WatchMojo. Who isn't? Speaking of fans, well, I'm a big fan of someone named Andrew Garfield. That's right. Let's just say he popped up in a few big movies this year. One of them that he's getting a lot of awards buzz over is something on Netflix called Tick, Tick, Boom, a very personal movie for him. And I got him to spill the details. And we also threw in some Spider-Man questions, had a little bit of fun. Check this out. He's a Tony Award winner, an Academy Award nominee, and he's also my favorite Spider-Man. Okay, I said it. And I'm so excited to talk to Andrew Garfield about Tick, Tick, Boom over there on Netflix. Andrew, how you doing, by the way?
I'm good, Matt. Thanks for that intro. What a sweet thing. How you doing?
I'm fantastic, and I'm excited to chat with you about this. One of the things that really, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but one of the things that surprised me when I watched this was like, Andrew Garfield can really sing. I had no idea.
I don't take that the wrong way. I was surprised too.
Did you have trepidation going in and putting your voice out there? Because someone who doesn't sing, I would be petrified.
Oh no, I wanted to run away multiple times. Yeah, it's so vulnerable because I never sung, as you say, and I knew that I needed to get to a certain level of confidence to be able to belt out these Jonathan Larson numbers in the way that Jonathan Larson would sing them, which was with his full body, all of his cells, his heart coming out of his mouth. So I knew that I had a long way to go because, you know, the extent of my singing previous to this was, you know, Will Smith's Miami at drunk karaoke kind of thing. So like I had a big chasm to cross, but you know, Lynn provided me with the time and the resources. I had an amazing singing coach. I had a year to get ready. Same with piano as well. I had an amazing piano teacher and yeah, I had a year. So and again, you know, Liz Kaplan and then all of like, you know, Kurt Crowley and Alex Lacamoire, they all kind of, it took a village to get my voice open to that level.
Well, it worked. They all did a fantastic job, as did you. And I would love to hear you sing again. I know they tried it once with the Spider-Man musical, but I think let's get Andrew in on that. Let's talk about your character, because I also went to theater school. I took some acting classes, and watching this movie, I'm like, I know these people. There was such an authenticity there, and that really rang true for your character. And obviously, it was based on a true life guy. But how much of Jonathan was Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. Same. You know, I feel a real affinity, a real kindred spirit to John. I feel like I would have, you know, I look up to him as an older brother of theater now. You know what I mean? Like it was like being introduced to a long lost brother I didn't know I had. And yeah, because we share the same ethics, the same values, the same longings, the same dreams, and we both value art. We both value story and music, and creativity as a way of life that is of the utmost meaning. Like it saves life. Art saved my life. Story saved my life. And I think without it, we wouldn't have a culture. We wouldn't have. It reminds us of our interconnectedness. And John was someone who so felt the agony of a world in need of healing. You know, especially during the AIDS crisis, where the film is set, and you know, during a political administration, the Reagan administration, that wasn't doing anything about it, that was treating people like animals without dignity or humanity. And John felt that in the deepest way in his soul, and it resonated around his body until he, you know, started writing about it and singing about it. And for me, I think that's the job of the artist. That the job of the artist is to reflect the times we're in through timeless storytelling, and to remind us of who we are, and to remind us of show us how we're missing the mark and how we can hit the mark. And so I feel a real affinity with John and a real gratitude to John as a kind of ancestor artist, because he shows us how to live. He shows us the value of community, the value of, you know, staying threaded to that primary dream of your own giftedness in your own life, to live a life that's meaningful and not just in uniform with how maybe a less than healthy culture wants you to live.
Yeah, no, and I really felt that, and I think everyone else watching it will feel that as well. All right, before I go, you know, I'm with WatchMojo, and I'd probably lose my job if I didn't use the S word here. And forget No Way Home. Would you make an appearance in the new Across the Spider-Verse?
Is this the new animated?
Yeah, maybe you could.
I mean, like I loved that first movie. I love all the movies. Like I love Tom Holland's movies, the John Watts movies. I love the Spider-Verse movie. I thought it was just incredibly inventive. I watched that 3 times. Listen, I'm just so happy that I got to play my childhood hero twice, and that's like, if I'm nothing but grateful for that, then there's something wrong. I'm just so grateful that I got to live out that dream. So that's all
right, I won't bug you any more than everyone else has, but I do want to remind everyone: Tick Tick Boom, do not miss it. It's on Netflix. And Andrew, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode. I really hope you enjoyed taking a look back at some of our biggest Mojo chats of the week. I had a lot of fun doing it, and we're going to have plenty more in the new year. Speaking of which, I want to wish you all a very happy new year. And hey, thanks to the WatchMojo family for joining me every week, everyone. We had Phoebe, we had Ricky, we had Kira, we had Rebecca, we had Ty, we had Cassius, and everyone else. It's been really wonderful having you. We'll see you again soon. Poppin' the culture. Bye, everyone.